New York City.
WVFP.
Energy and charisma.
Why is that funny?
It's definitely awkward.
Look at me, I'm different.
Get to the point.
This podcast, like the Red Room from...
The opinions expressed by the guests, hosts, and callers of this show do not reflect the views of WVFP or our sponsors.
WVFP.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming back.
Here we are,
We are going to do this. We're doing it good today.
doing it.
We have some guests today. We have some really cool people coming in generally in this session. Some people are probably going to rob us. I think there's going to be a robbery today. I feel it coming. Not in the first episode, though.
I sure hope not.
If you could choose which episode you got robbed in today, the first, the second, or the third, would you rather get it out of the way or would you save the robbery for the end?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. If you could choose.
I would definitely save it for the end because if not, I think it would.
Would ruin the rest of your time.
Exactly.
You get robbed right in the beginning. But see, I kind of feel like I like to get stuff out of the way. There's a robbery coming. I'm freaked out a little bit. I want to just get it out of the way. I don't want to wait all day to get robbed.
But then you're going to stay in the same space?
No, I would stay. I would feel better. I would try to shift the mood. I would manipulate the reality back into my corner after the robbery. And by the end of these episodes, everybody they'd be on my side.
But you might not even have a mic.
The robber will be in jail afterward.
And then you can't continue the show because what have they robbed you of?
Let me ask you a literature question you probably don't know the answer to. I don't know. What is there a name in literature for when the bad stuff happens first in the book?
Foreshadowing?
No.
I know that's not.
No, like what if the climax?
Premonition.
Do you have a kind of literary style where the climax is in the beginning and the rest of the book is just dealing with the aftermath of what happened?
I mean, I feel like what you're talking about would still be considered in media res.
Oh.
No, where you start kind of in the middle because you'd be starting in the conflict and the drama and then you develop from there. But I'm
Okay.
sure you already know that term. I think
I don't know
all
anything.
of the narrative
I've never even read a
arts.
book before.
Okay, very funny.
The narrative arts. Okay, well, I would
Narrative arts
like to have books and pieces of art that showed not, there's too many of these disaster movies. They start with regular life, and then there's a disaster, and then there's like some heroism that happens. It's totally falsified. There's no heroes, and then that's it. That's the end of the movie. But that's not.
That's very American cinematography, United States.
Like a volcano movie.
Yeah.
Tornado, the film.
That's what I like about Spanish
Sharks are flying around.
film. It's just families eating lunch.
Is that because people want to go to the movies and see, some
The
home
end of
life?
the world. You know that.
It's definitely the end of time.
No, but
That's not much.
I don't think it's the end of time, but
Of course it
everyone
is.
loves that idea. People love that idea that
I'm going to leave you people here alone when the Lord takes me up.
Are you threatening
Oh, yeah.
death?
I threaten people all the time.
Nathan.
I'm going first. I'm leaving the rest of you to the rapture. You're having really fun when your flesh is melting off and you face the devil personally. That's fine. I won't be around.
That's good. You're going to give Roman
the chosen one.
things to write about. He said he's going to write about age gap relationships.
Oh God, we're going to be in that sucker. He's going to be characterizing us all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think I'm a pretty easy person to make a caricature of.
I mean, you're wearing a ridiculous cowboy
This
hat.
hat's still here. The hat's still rolling. Nobody.
So I'm not sure what you're trying to signify with that, but I don't know if that I want to
I've
know.
made no new relationships wearing this hat. Nobody.
You're barely keeping the ones you already
So
have.
I've been wearing the hat during the episodes, on my way to the episodes, and then after, which can get dicey because we usually go have a couple adult beverages, right?
Adult beverage.
So this is the time I'm wearing the hat. I'm also wearing the hat when I day drink, but I'm only doing it. I'm not doing it in the East Village.
Where are you doing your day drinking?
No, if I'm wearing the hat and I'm day drinking, I'm going somewhere where
Brunch.
skateboarders won't roll me.
Oh, interesting. I've
Maybe
got to
Wall
find a
Street.
place to. I'm bringing my longboard from Florida. I have an extremely
Oh,
long
good.
longboard,
Oh, you're gonna go out into the Hudson,
and
or
I don't
something.
know where to go. Yeah.
Oh,
Do you know?
You take the longboard, you hack it up into 2 or 3 pieces because that's the only way that the garbage will pick it up, and then you put it outside and you decide
Oh,
never
it's
ever
from
to do that.
California. I ordered it. I
good.
haven't seen it in real life yet. I ordered it when I was in Spain.
Oh, so you bought this. It's from
and I'm
California.
so excited.
So it cost double. It cost triple
No, I
because you
actually
got it
bought it
from
because
out
it was
there.
extremely on sale, but it's a huge longboard. So it's really supposed to make you feel like you're surfing a skateboard. I'm extremely excited about seeing it when I go to Florida at the end of the month. Are you going to go to Florida with me?
I just don't. I want to go to Florida, but I'm a really lazy person there. I gained 10 pounds. I
Did
never
you?
leave the pool. I get into multiple domestic squabbles with people. I'm just so into life down there. I'm always
You're
getting into squabbles.
Live.
I'm living down there. Like, out, here in New York City, I'm hiding in my little apartment. I'm not coming outside. Not a lot of bad things can happen. I do drink, but it's like this anonymous kind of. I'm sneaking around, sneaking around all the time. In Florida, I'm just outside. I don't care if I pass out in the street in Florida. And you know what? Nobody else does either. Nobody cares what's going on down there. And that's just fine with me.
That's the scary thing to me about our state,
The state of
Florida.
Oh, because people down there act like
It was like at the beginning of the pandemic. We were down there together, and it's just like
the thing
no
about
one had a mask on.
Oh God, here we
Zero
go.
mask.
Nobody cares about.
I
the
was
mask.
coming in from California. It was frightening.
No, the thing about it is like, it's like Las Vegas, where people go there. They go there to have a good time, and maybe like a little bit like New Orleans at certain times of the year, or Las
But there's
Vegas.
huge populations of Latinos that just live there.
Well, this is what I was
year-round.
getting to. So like those places, there's like a party atmosphere, but in South Florida, the party kind of idea encompasses 3 counties and some of the largest population in America. And everybody down there is just having fun. Millions of people just get wasted out of their minds. They're eating people's faces like a zombie
Oh
video.
my God,
I saw that video.
Frightening.
I'm-
That was Miami, wasn't it? It was like outside.
How
the
could it
old
not be?
courthouse.
How
That's
could
really
it not
scary.
be
That's a bad
South Florida?
fault. Did you see the thing that our governor did? I have
not-
I have restarted watching the news, and the
Oh,
first thing
God.
I thought it was a spoof. I thought it was like The Onion.
Yeah.
You saw the thing about they're like,
No, I don't
we
watch that.
mailed migrants to
Oh,
New
yeah.
York.
And they put 'em in a box.
DeSantis. Yes, it's so
Give 'em a rice
scary.
meal and
It's
they're-
really embarrassing.
Like, here,
for
get in the
Florida.
box. Get in the box. We got 50 states and we're going to work it out, buddy.
Oh my God.
Well, why don't they just should do a lottery program? You come across the border, you put your hand in a hat and you pull it out. It says Delaware. Sorry, buddy.
I mean, that's actually
you live in
fine.
Delaware now.
No, in the EU, they have strategically shifted the refugees
Okay.
among the different states.
I'm
of
just
the EU.
joking.
But this is not what Florida did. Florida
Okay.
just took a bunch of people, put them in
Yeah.
a bus, and like mailed them without letting
Okay.
New York
But
know.
let me
As
say
a
this.
political statement,
All
it's
right.
so embarrassing.
Yeah, okay. But let me say this.
So awful.
Let me say this. They want to live in Martha's Vineyard. They want to live on
So you
Nantucket.
did see it because they sent them. That was where they sent people.
All right.
They were like,
of course, I know
they were
what
like,
it is.
Obama
When you say, "Did I
lives in
see it?" I
Martha's Vineyard.
I didn't watch a segment or something like that. I just know what you're talking about. And frankly,
awful.
let's say, all right, DeSantis
So
or whatever. Let's say you are from another country. You just showed up in Florida. Your
Okay, I
choices
relate
are
to that.
Hialeah.
What's wrong with Hialeah?
Your choices are Hialeah, some fucking place west of Fort Lauderdale that nobody ever goes to and you can't get out of because of traffic, and
Hope
Martha's Vineyard. I don't think anybody. I don't think people who are new to America think about relocating to a rural place like northern Florida.
Well, those things all depend on patterns, migratory patterns. There have been cases where
Don't they really just
large
rely on
groups.
governments and rude laws? And
No, it's more like your friend. Kind of like your friend moves to New York, and then you move to New York because your friend's there.
Okay. I've never moved anywhere because my friends were there. But you kind of, if I wasn't here, would you have come back here?
I mean, I originally came back partially
You
because
have to
you
lie
were here.
and say you weren't. You have to lie right now and be like,
And
that
also-
has nothing to do with
No,
it.
and also because I was born here and I have all my family
You keep
here, and my
saying
mom
that.
is from Long Island.
You keep saying that, but I hang out with so many people who are native New Yorkers who could get all pissed off when you start saying you were born here because they're like, well, then as a baby, I got on a boat and paddled somewhere else. They're gonna
And
be
my
willing to-
family came through Ellis Island on my mom's side.
Oh, my
like lots
goodness.
of classic New York stories. I mean,
I
come
wish
on.
this was inspiring.
Did your
for
family
me.
come through Ellis
Oh,
Island?
my family-
No.
My family was like the jailer over there or something. We invented Ellis Island. No, I'm just kidding. No,
Quarantine.
we were
Original
farming
quarantine.
dirt at the time, far west of Ellis
Oh,
Island.
don't pull that blue
We were.
collar story.
Excuse
Is that true? Or are you
rural
making that
people.
up?
No, at that
Oh,
time,
that's true.
Ellis Island. What are we talking about here? Ellis Island. What are we talking about? Because it goes on for quite some time.
1920.
You're talking about
1930.
the heyday. There's somebody knocking on the door. It's probably the guest.
Ooh.
They can come in anytime they want. Who do you think it is?
Hello.
You don't even remember who's the guest today.
The cat?
Yeah. You're going to stand up and greet them? Ladies and gentlemen,
Don't tell me what to do.
local, famous New York City artist, Kat Chamberlin and Caroline Falby. Clap for yourself.
Nice to meet you. Hi. Nice to meet you. So there's video in this.
Oh, there's a video camera. But unless your credit card is on you, you won't be using it today. There's a video camera, there's video equipment. There's lots of
The mic.
cameras and equipment, and I've had them stacked up around here just to make you nervous.
So it's going to be on YouTube.
No, I'm just kidding. Okay, I'm sorry. Stop the joking. We just met each other. Stop the bullshit for a second.
I'm very distracted
I don't
by like the
How do I look in the cameras? I'm not looking at myself.
fixing my hair.
Oh, good.
This is a setup.
It's only a step up from Instagram. You thought you would get the full view here, and now it's obscured again. It's pretty strange, isn't it? We want to do some proper. Introductions. I got a good look on your guys' resumes, and they're really long. They're really complicated. You guys have been around for a long time.
Oh no.
And so I just want to do.
Great, thanks.
Well, no. You're professionals in the scene. You are storied members of the downtown art scene. Do you know that? And I certainly have been hearing about you and seeing you around for a long time. So can we start with introducing maybe what you're doing now or what's coming up, instead of me saying, "Oh, look, you worked at Here Art Center in 2017. So did I." Instead of me doing stuff like that, can we just introduce you guys as what you're doing now and maybe what you've done recently, Caroline?
Caroline.
Oh my god.
Thanks for coming to my game show, by the way.
Really hot.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm feeling that malaise that you feel after something is done.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like actually quite the opposite, where I'm like, I don't have anything going on.
There could be like a car crash scenario happening. You know what I mean?
Like,
Yeah.
so it's like
You don't know to be excited yet.
Yeah.
Your heart will stop beating when this thing ends. You'll be like, "Oh, no. What did I say? What did I do?" Nobody knows. I'm not keeping track.
Yeah, so I just finished doing spring break, so I'm sort of feeling, and I don't have any shows like up and coming. So
Okay, that's
I'm
okay.
feeling a little of that like post-show malaise.
With a professional like you, does that set in before the show even ends? You're at the spring break art show. It's going fabulous. But you're thinking already, "Oh, where's the next day? I got to send some emails. Who cares what's going on
I
here
think
anymore?"
definitely, well, Kat and I have talked about this, that there's like and I think that plays to like the narcissism of artists, right?
Okay.
Like,
All right, you're admitting to it
you
here.
don't like to admit that you're like, there's like a beast that you need to feed.
Yeah.
And like, you're like, it really comes, I don't really think about it until like there's a show or something like that, or
Okay.
you get an award or something like that. And there's this anticipation like, oh, what's coming next? And I think for me, I've had to sort of try to let go of that and just.
Is it ambition? Is a lot of it ambition, or is it like a nervous energy, or is it just like what you do? Like, this is what I
think
do.
it's
And
like insecurities.
oh, okay.
Yeah. I think it's
All right.
more.
I don't know. I mean, like, I think I've kind of taught myself, and I still suffer from it every time I have something happen.
Yeah.
Like some expectation that this is going to be some kind of big break for something. What is the thing?
Yeah, you're thinking, "Oh, these people are going to show up to my radio show," and then they don't show up, and just talk to Julie for 2 hours.
Yeah, something like
Excuse me.
No, I mean, but I actually have lately been focusing on getting a specific task done for whatever the next event is. So if the task is, I want to finish like this many pieces, if I can finish this many pieces, the show happens, whatever. All that matters is this many pieces got
Right.
finished. Or I use this specific material, and I have to like be very, very conscious of it in advance, that it's not about networking or like, you know, like your career moving forward. Because when you start thinking that way, it really is like the chances are so slim. It's 1 in a million, you know? So there's really no point in like craving that kind of attention. And it has to be something that has to be fulfilling from within what you're doing.
It's kind of like
It's the only
girls.
way to get away.
It's kind of like girls. You got to make them think you're not really interested. the gallery scene sometimes could be that.
Yes.
way,
Well, I was
right?
gonna say that I
but
think
that's
that it is.
intentional. I'm but maybe for myself, you mean? Like not interested in yourself. Like
No.
yourself believe that you're not interested.
But I
Well,
also,
maybe
but I
to
think
like do the role,
well,
to
to
do the
not be
whole
a
act.
narcissist, to say, I'm
Yeah.
actually not really.
I was gonna say I think
I'm
it
really doing
plays.
this for the right reason.
Right.
But Kat, I was gonna say I think it's sort of, and there is something sort of gendered about it in a way, like where I think as girls you're sort of like spoon fed all this like princess shit,
Okay.
and then there's this idea like that kind of like is linked to this whole like you're gonna be discovered somehow
Right.
without like putting in any kind of work, like you're just gonna show up and people are gonna think you're brilliant and like
Right.
so.
But is that the princess shit, or is that just like basic capitalism? Like you're gonna make boku bucks. Like
If when the product
if-
doesn't
I
sell,
like
there's
the
this.
critique of capitalism.
Well, there is this
Yeah.
capitalist thing
Exactly.
inside my soul that says, what is the item worth? And then when it doesn't sell right away, in my mind, it's going on sale. You know what I mean by that?
Oh really?
Yeah, like so the very first day it's on sale, nobody buys it. Now the value in my mind's gone down. I can't wait one more second.
right,
I'm putting it on sale immediately
right.
because until somebody does something there, the other person does something,
Mm-hmm.
it's worthless.
Mm.
And that's such a terrible. That's obviously that's the insecurity. I mean, that's not what I'm always, but that's the insecurity.
Perhaps that's linked to the need to be in the gallery showing, always producing.
Yeah, well, I think the important thing to do is when you start feeling that is just get back to work.
Yeah.
It's like get back into your studio and get back into your practice and get excited about what's happening there and like turn more inward and like
How I feel
Try
about
and-
my dissertation. It's always
You're
there.
you're doing a dissertation.
I am,
Yeah.
and it's always there. And I'm always like, I could potentially turn inward towards my dissertation.
Do you not go home sometimes because there awaits the dissertation?
It does wait for me at home, but I'm happy to turn into it. I actually like it. I was looking up the Haitian and the United States.
I know you're doing that while you're not
Constitution.
answering my text messages
But anyway,
about
I
this
want to
project.
return to your studio practice. I was gonna say, like, I relate to you as having like this modernist project that's always with you.
I feel I do this thing where like I make something, I get it, I hate it. By the time it's over, I hate it. I never want to see it again. Because like at first I'm like, love it. Look at what he did. Look at what I did. And then if anybody looks, I'm like, okay, take it. Okay. And then then I go on a binge. And then at some point, I'm like sitting somewhere, I'm doing something, and I think to myself, I've wasted so much time, like between projects. That's how it all starts over for me. Then I'll be sitting there and I'll think, maybe like Julie's talking or something, and it'll hit me. I've been doing this for a while. Been in this bar with these something,
yeah.
and it'll hit me again. And I'll be like, okay, I'm a piece of shit. We need to start a project again. I need to start doing what I was thinking about doing. There's always something else back there.
And then you're like, text everyone, podcast.
Then I go into a manic
Hey, what are you
haze
doing?
of texting and DMing celebrities who are probably calling the police.
But I think that it's important to take those breaks though too. And I don't think people really value that enough. There's sort of like this idea, like to be a serious artist, you need to be constantly making work.
Americans, though, right?
Yeah.
We're doing
maybe.
that. Across the
Very.
pond, we're doing a lot of talking.
Oh no, man! I was just in Europe and
Yeah.
it was so slow.
Where were you? It is a
I
different
was in
pace.
Germany and I was in Albania and Turkey and it was just
Wow.
so slow.
And we
I
love
come back
everyone
here and
over
I'm
there.
like the speed at which
pace,
everything
yeah.
is going
And
here
it-
is just kind of
And please, Berlin, send me your shows still. But what's going on over there does take a lot longer. And when people plan things, they plan things a lot farther in advance, which is always
Mhm.
really annoying.
I'm bad at that.
Well, let's do this podcast. Okay, well, in 15 months, I have another show. Whoa, dude.
Academic calendars are like that.
Yeah.
They're extremely
Yeah.
long. It's like I already know next semester and the summer and the fall.
Wow.
One thing
That
that we
depends.
figured
If
out.
you're adjunct, you don't get any of that at all.
Then you have a lot more security.
Well, you
Yeah,
guys,
good
you guys
call.
didn't
You done
introduce
something.
your academic records in the beginning. Is that something we want to keep the hell off? We got
Uh-oh.
some.
We don't have to. I mean,
We got,
Ashamed of
you do
teaching?
not have to tell anybody,
Aw.
but somewhere, you guys are teaching somebody something.
Oh.
I did see that, correct?
no, well,
We're
looking right
like
at
we are with Vantage Points. We're going to be teaching a class
Okay.
on body, form, and space.
I saw
It's
that.
next.
Okay, yeah. So what is that about? What is the
What is it about? I mean, it's for open to students in all mediums, and we're going to be looking at body-based like work, I guess. And
In the little, like, I don't know if you want to call it an ad. Everything I put on Instagram is kind of an ad, so I don't really know what to say.
yeah.
But
Your whole
I saw something
Instagram
that Caroline put up where the joke is maybe some art reviewers, art critics are just shouting nonsense at the subject. And, so So are you
Yeah.
helping people, are you helping students have a defense mechanism for shitty critics, media people like me, who just show up and like, oh, it's so pretty, or is this more about learning how to talk about your own work?
I think it's like about like finding a space. Like what I hope that we do with this class is have a space where people can talk about their work really frankly. I think there's a lot of like art speak that happens.
Yeah. I'm trying to teach it to Julie right now.
And
Excuse me?
Yeah, well, Julie's a smart person, but she doesn't know how to talk
I have my own,
bullshit.
I have my own rhetoric.
She doesn't know the bullshit.
We have both, MFAs. So we've been taught this art speak and have had to spend years like
polishing,
taking it all out of our brains.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what it's been for years since we've graduated. Is like
but
trying
it's also
to
you
get
have
rid
to
of all
recycle
this.
it every time you write a grant application.
Well, but that's the problem. No,
or-
you see it and you're like, this
Propose.
is BS. And why do I need to write about this thing?
But it's also
there's a gap. I'm gonna fill it.
You know what? We didn't introduce you on the show. Did you notice that?
Who, me?
Do you know if you ever
I'm
noticed?
always on the show. That's
Well,
why
I
I'm
know. If you ever
recurring
notice, I just
figure.
realized just now, they probably don't know your resume because I didn't say it, but that's okay. I mean, you can listen to some other show. But if I ever skip over you like that, 'cause I think I just skipped right the hell
I
over
mean,
you.
I know I'm here to be a foil.
Well, you're not the foil. You're the other co-host.
No, I'm fine.
You're
with
the
that.
co-host.
I'm okay.
I'm sorry I didn't
Supporting
introduce
you.
you. We're not going
Ray
to
of
do it now,
sunshine,
but
Nathan.
I just realized that. Okay, I'm sorry. We've got the class we're teaching. We're going to teach people.
Embodiment. It sounds like you.
Embodiment.
Is that a good artsy word?
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about
Yeah.
embodiment?
Yeah, I mean,
You're not
I think
buying it.
I think it's about thinking about how your art relates to external circumstances. So how does your work relate to the space around it?
Positionality.
Yeah. And that features in many different ways. But I do think like in getting back to like the art speak thing is that the thing that's been sort of a pet peeve for me in teaching is the way that we feel obligated to talk about our work, to like infuse it with some sort of self-importance, and not really talk about what it's really about. And I think that if you really dig deep into like the inclinations, like why are you picking up a certain tool, or like why do you keep on making the same image over and over again? It's probably not the reason you're telling people.
So the art speak is stopping people from like really thinking about what the hell they're doing here.
Yeah,
it's
like
creating
your
distance
artist
between the-
statement, like you should be able to talk to your neighbor who doesn't know anything about art and tell them your artist statement, and they should be able to understand what that's about.
Do people, I hear what you're saying. I wonder, I just have felt a lot of my life that people want the speak, and when they don't get it, they kind of get pissed off. Like they come to your art show, maybe they're a little bit outside of art. They are your neighbor. They're somebody.
Yeah.
But when they talk to you, they want something that mystifies them a little.
Mm-hmm.
And isn't that where the art speak? That's why people started adopting it so much, because like to the viewer feels so satisfied, especially maybe sometimes you say some things they don't understand. They
Well,
know it's a
yeah.
phrase. They know, oh, that sounds smart.
But it's a little emperor has no clothes, right? Like
Yeah.
that was something that drove me nuts in grad school, and is this, talking about your work and using these like 3-4 syllable words, and I'm sure you know this from academia,
Yeah.
where the person actually isn't really saying anything at all. They're just like pontificating
Yes.
about like going off on weird tangents that have nothing to do with
Right.
really what you're talking about.
I think we're all suckers for people who are smarter, who sound smarter than us, and so we will.
That's
kind of
why I
roll
brought
and start
you here
talking.
on the show today. Okay?
But I think
I want smart people on the show. I know it's not me, and that's what you're doing here.
We want to feel we want to feel like we're talking to somebody smart too, because
Yeah.
that'll make us feel good.
Yeah.
Right.
But the problem is that if you don't even know what you're making, you don't know why you're making it, then it's actually not like going to go beyond that initial conversation, and it's not going to communicate anything to anybody.
Right.
That's I would say more universal. I mean, what for me, my like thesis on all of this, or like philosophy, is that there has to be some kind of from a tribal or maybe like something that's like deeply rooted in you, that you recognize in this, in your body, in your physicality,
Right.
in the way that you respond. Are you repulsed or are you attracted to something?
Right.
And if you're not like paying attention to those things and you're only paying attention to the academic aspect of it, or, you know, the stuff that you've studied,
Right.
then you're often lying to yourself. And you need to be able to find those two things. And in order to be able to reach that, like, primal is the word that I was thinking of, like the primal aspect. If you're not reaching the primal part, then you're probably lying to yourself. And the problem is that we have too many people who go through institutions, get institutionalized like us, are taught all this language that sounds cool. It brings up feelings about politics or, you know, institutions that we like or dislike. And then we feel emotional in that way, but it really doesn't reflect on us at all. And it actually reflects on other institutions and not what we are, who we are, and why we make the thing that we make. And it's we should be really very, in a way, actually narcissism is in some way a good thing in some ways, like,
Right.
to
Because you
actually,
want
like,
what
look
is
into
inside
yourself.
you to, right.
Yeah. But
Yes.
not to be narcissistic in that you can't see the fact that you're actually reflecting everyone else instead of yourself.
Yeah,
Right.
like as a teacher, you want your students to be like cleaving themselves, right? Like you
Right.
want them to be like digging into like those things and trying to figure out like why they're making these
The
things.
two sides of
But I was just gonna say one other thing. The flip side though of the teacher is that you never want to be projecting your shit
it's
onto
pretty hard. That's
another
pretty hard.
onto your students. And that's like actually the thing that I mean, I hope I don't do, like, is like helping students actually like when they're struggling with something, trying to figure out why they're struggling with it on their own and how they can where like certain paths that they
Well, I
can
think
take
a
on
lot
their
of that
own, but that are
projection
not
comes
necessarily
from-
paths that you would take.
I
you
believe
know?
that a lot of the projection happens through the language that's used and the
Not
things that
necessarily
have
the
been taught.
teacher. It's a phraseology.
Well, but the teacher is like using this language, this art speak that is so loaded,
Mhm.
and the students recognize these things. They're somewhat familiar with what it's attached to. They're not entirely familiar with the whole story.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, well then I guess I should be making work about this. You know, like I'm making work about feminism, blah 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 blah.
Well-
But they don't have any personal viewpoint. It's
Yeah.
somebody else's viewpoint.
They want to please the teacher.
Yep.
There's like the good student kind
Yeah. Well, a lot of times when students, and you could tell me, I mean, what do I know? But there's a lot of times when students are interacting with academia, it's bad or it's worse. Either they make something and then they try to attach academic phrases to it, explain it through this verbology, or even worse, they make something with these phrases in their head. That's the even worse side of it. But I think what Kat's trying to say before was the interesting part is like, you know, the thing, being able to talk about how you pulled something out of you or whatever. I like to call it what's on the hook.
Mm.
What was on the hook that caught whatever is wrong with you inside or whatever and brought this to the surface? And if people could talk about what was the bait that your conscious is giving the subconscious, pulling the stuff out of you. I think that the moment where we can realize why the hell we did something, like I did this whole intricate thing, it's got nothing to do with me. Maybe it's about the 17th century. And in the end, I just miss my mom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And but that's the part of the that's what
I mean,
the
I
academic.
disagree. I think historians have a role, and because you study something in the 19th or the 17th century doesn't mean it's all a reflection of like, I felt ostracized from my culture, so I went really deep into scrolls from 17th century China.
That sounds fun.
Because I feel like an
The
ostracized person in
Cantonos.
America.
Who would have done that? That would have been
I'm
Ezra
saying, I think
Pound.
this has become very like anti. Also, there are tendencies, but all education has tendencies, theory has tendencies, art has tendencies, and has fashions, and that doesn't just influence individual students. That tends to influence everybody. I mean, before you guys were saying, okay, so we have to use a certain kind of language when we talk about art. But really, I just wanted to say we have to use a lot of times an erotics. I mean, we have here on the table before us, we have Sex Mag, which has supposedly nothing to do with sex. It's a literary magazine.
Yeah.
But the idea is you have to use a language. A lot of times it's either
Oh, I
just
see what
quote
you're saying.
unquote.
I was waiting for the point of that,
or
but I get what you're
it's-
saying.
you have to make an erotics of, and those are just forms of poesis.
Right,
And there's not really an issue with that. I mean, if you find that you think your students are like too much, in the artifice and they're not really connecting to themselves.
Julie-
I mean,
But
I
sex
think
is
you
pretty
have to
basic.
invite
Sex is
them.
pretty primal, right? So that's kind of that's the attraction. Whereas if we talk about art speak, this is not, it is very unique, very specific. There's a specific number of
Okay,
people
so
who
give us an
understand
example
it.
of like a word
And it's very
that you
foreign
really
to most,
feel is
to the
like
body
so
even.
formal.
Juxtapose.
What? That's a nice word. What's wrong with that?
Nice word. Karen, I don't think
Teleological.
It's like in every single artist.
a little. So I don't know.
It's trite and boring.
I don't know if you know what's going on the show. I don't really know either. But we're doing a
Juxtaposition of
we're,
voices.
we are kind of doing an odd couple podcast.
Yeah.
Julie's obviously the academic here, and every now and then we push her with our not maybe you.
a lot of
With anti-intellectualism.
Oh, we're
She gets a
teaching.
lot.
No,
She's
no. We're teaching.
their teacher.
But you're like, our students suck and they follow trends. And it's like, okay.
No.
That was, I'm sorry, did I take away the wrong
No, but
takeaway?
I do think that
They should find their own language. You want them to find an original language for themselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't even want to say I want to find, you want your students to find their voice.
Right, exactly.
I mean, that's the thing is you don't want them to be plagiarizing. You want them to like you want them.
What about sampling, though?
Well, there's inspiration, right?
Yeah.
There's a difference between influence and
Absolutely, sure. Yeah. No, I get
plagiarism, right? Like an appropriation,
Yeah.
right? You can be influenced by things, but and that line is very gray, right?
Absolutely.
But I do think the difference between art and academia is if you are, say, studying interwar Britain or
Sure.
something like that, right?
Respectful attitude. I mean, that's
You
what
are-
respectful attitude.
You're looking at texts, you're like primary and secondary texts, and you're trying to put things together like you're a detective, and you're trying to kind of be as like put as little as yourself almost into it, right? Because you're trying to come to these conclusions in a very kind of non-biased way.
Not there.
And they may support a thesis, right? Like a
Mhm.
thought, but you're not finding things to support your thesis. You're coming to a thesis after doing these investigations,
idea
right?
of
Like that's the difference
objectivity.
between like pseudo documentaries and real documentaries, right? But with art, the source is yourself.
and
So
you're
that's where it
also-
becomes problematic, right?
and
so
you're
we
also
use this academic
physically-
speak to sort of elevate like this feeling like ourselves as a source is not enough. So in
Okay.
order for
Yeah.
us to infuse our opinions and thoughts with importance, we need to use this this rhetoric in order for it to get some sort of value.
It's also an in-group thing. I mean, is that what we're not discussing here right now? There's an exchange of symbols in a lot of this language. You know, the professor, the normal one, not the cool one like Caroline, but the professor comes over to see your art, and then you say a bunch of phrases that they want
I
you
can
to
take those
say.
photos. Okay.
They're for you. It's all for you, Caroline.
Okay. Take
I've
it in.
invented this whole show just to bring you guys down here. That's the whole thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's been talking about you for ages.
Let me catch my breath.
That's true.
I went out there to inform the security guard who's coming on of all the names for tonight. I went out there. They're not there. But I'm the administrator of this show. Don't mind me. I'm going to get
Wait,
it
what
done.
happened?
Well, now there's somebody comes on shift now. We're here later. So eventually there's like somebody out there.
Charlotte.
And we have more people coming. So they need a list. They're actually incessantly calling me. I ran out there. I took the opportunity to go to the bathroom. And then I came back in, but it's to no avail. I don't know what I was even doing out there. I missed 5 seconds of Kat and Caroline. Now I'm fucking fucked. I don't know.
I just want to say, like, adding off of, I don't know about in groups necessarily, because there's in groups everywhere. I think the difference, maybe again, back to the difference between academia and art making, is that it's a physical experience.
Yeah.
You're working with media, you're working with your hands, you're working with your brain. Your neurons are responding to touch, to smell, to visual objects that create specific ideas and emotions that you're not necessarily, you don't recognize immediately. And that's like, we have that same response to words on text, but it's a very like specific experience of having the body with a material, with paint, with glass. I don't know. And that's where it's really important, and it's going to be seen physically as well. Like it's a visual experience. The body is being activated. And so if the body is like focusing mostly on the academic aspect of it and is only thinking like through the mental part, you know, the processing of ideas, what about the rest of the body? How is the rest of the body responding to the work? And how is the person who's viewing the work actually going to understand it?
There's such a weird dichotomy because I've obviously been around art studios or, you know, galleries, institutions that are not connected to academia, but it's few and far between. And there's this obvious connection between art and academia.
Mm-hmm.
But not every artist appreciates it. Some people are on the outside of it. Some people are on the inside of it.
Hate it. That's
Well,
what I always hear.
not
Artists are
everybody.
like, academics are so boring and respectful.
Well, that's true. But that's not, no. Yeah. No, that's true. That part's true. But no, there's a link.
Artists
The
got
link's
more
never
fun.
going away. It's like the link between artists and rich people.
I think it's just about
never
money.
going
Yeah,
away.
it's about funding.
Yeah, it's about funding.
And there's the critics. It sounded like you're saying you're not trying to
It's the
educate
critics.
You're trying to educate artists,
Yeah.
or not even educate, but like have people come into their
Give them the
own
tools. You know what?
Give
I
them
think
tools, give them a space to, and help them recognize that they're physically responsible for their work and they can actually speak
I
about
think
it.
Julie should
Someone else
sign
doesn't
up
need
for
to
this
speak
class,
for
and
them.
Julie go down there.
I would like to.
Sign her
Can
up
you,
for the
will
class.
you pay for me to come?
There's no way that I can afford for Julie to go to the
I
class.
would like to go to the class.
This whole studio is bankrupting not just me, not just Julie, but whatever credit cards I've opened up without her knowledge. And we're having a really fun time, but it will come to an end someday soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're a good teacher, you want your student to excel in the way that they want to excel, not in the way that you want them to excel, right? Like you want them to succeed. And if they're not succeeding, then you're a crappy teacher. Like that's how I think about it. So like if you have a student who's not coming to class or you have a student who's not handing in work, like it could be like their class is just not your jam and you need to have a conversation with them. Like maybe you should be doing something else because like art is fun, right? So if like you're not coming to art class,
Is it?
if you're not coming to art class, like maybe art isn't your thing, right? So, and I'm sure it's the same with academia, right? Like if you're a math
I worry
major,
when my students don't
if-
come. I feel tremendously
yeah,
worried.
Do you feel
so if
hurt
you're a
personally?
if you're
Oh, Lord.
if you're like a master's student, I mean, I guess master's students still take classes, right?
They do.
Yeah.
And I think they go.
So like if you're a master's student in math and you're like skipping classes, like why are you spending? It's so expensive to go to school.
Well,
Like,
because they're young and they don't know what the hell's going on.
but you're gonna be left with like tons of debt. Like just don't
yeah.
come.
Oh, well,
Like,
let's mean you go down to NYU and start handing out some literature to everybody about what the hell's going on down there.
but anyways, I just don't think like necessarily
massive
like
grift.
everyone needs to go to
It's true.
school.
Not everyone needs to go to.
But if somebody wants to be in school and they're feeling like intimidated by all this art speak and they're
Right.
feeling like they're not an active participant in it, like it's your responsibility as a teacher to like help facilitate.
You know what's
their
good about art
practice.
school? And I don't know. I only know about America. This is on America. The good thing about art schools in America are the live figure drawing classes. If you're out there and you're looking for some kind of art program and you're going through it and they don't offer you any live figure, you get another school. And then the other thing, you need some figure drawing. Kids need to draw. The other thing that's going on is that what makes these programs special, and I think that every art program in America knows because this is how they advertise, is that one teacher. You know, every art program usually just has one good teacher. And then everybody comes to the school, they want that teacher, you know? And I think that that's it. Like, is there somebody teaching there who could teach you something, usually with your hands? They're like, you know, the old sculpture guy works at this school. It's
the
live
technical,
figure.
you're saying the technical.
Well, a lot of times it's a
I mean,
technical
I
person.
think
It
it's-
doesn't have to be a technical person.
I think maybe we're coming across wrong here though, because we're not entirely against theory. I think there's just like such
I
a heavy
am.
focus in you are.
I'm going to be.
Yeah. I think there's just such a heavy focus on how to approach making work through theory.
I am the
that,
anti-intellectual
that
of
the
the
students
show.
are young and they don't even know themselves at all to even
Yeah.
approach theory.
Yeah.
Like they're completely blank
Yeah.
slates that are being dumped theory on and have no idea what their bodies are capable of. It's like actually, it's like
That's an
sex.
interesting-
It's actually like Sex in America. How kids have sex and they think that they're like pros at this. You know, when they
That's
have
an
it for the
interesting.
first
No. That's actually.
They think they're pros at it because they've never done it before, but they've seen it on TV and
Yeah.
they're like, okay, the first time I do this is going to be amazing.
But art is like
And then
sex, where
art
you
is-
got to mess it up a bunch and do it
I
wrong
was gonna
100
say
times.
the
Right?
internet
is ruining
It's like
Isn't it?
blowjobs.
Isn't it like the very first thing I ever made and showed it to somebody? They were like, "You did this wrong. This is terrible."
Oh no.
Well, then, okay, so the sex goes bad. It's not good.
Right.
What the fuck?
Well, you
You're
get
like,
some
"What?
theory. You get
I
some
should've-"
theory in there. You start explaining to her.
No, it's
Like,
not
how
just
do they
theory.
feel?
His theory is like
Yeah.
theory is maybe the things that you've been told. This is how it's supposed to be. This is how it's supposed to be.
Like the Karma Sutra.
These are the structures. This
That's
is the
a good
system.
one.
How, but the actual experience is the time that you spend
So wait,
sculpting,
the
looking
theory
at
in
the
this,
thing, or like
the theory in that contrast would be
allegory.
pornography.
yes,
Pornography is the theory.
right,
Of that.
bad,
very
Right.
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
And pornography can really fuck you up.
Fucking
Promise.
Yes, and we've had this conversation quite a few times this week.
I am not pornography positive. Julie, what do you have? To
I
say?
mean, I do actually study this, and I am pro.
Are you putting out a book on all this
the
stuff or
people-
anything?
Oh, no, a person I work with just wrote a book called "Looking at Porn." Mark Greif, and that's coming.
Thank
out,
you,
but
Mark
he
Greif.
Feels very like there's a lot of problems for him because he feels like he doesn't have the right positionality to write the
Just
book.
turn around, Mark.
He's like, maybe it should be
'Cause
like
he's a white
woman.
dude.
Yeah, he's a white dude. He
Oh,
feels
here we
like,
go.
uh-oh.
Yeah.
But
So is he going to
it's
invent
very
another
interesting.
identity? Is he
I
going to
mean,
start
I
telling
feel
people
like at the end of
my
his-
family's really from Greece? Just start
I
doing
mean,
No,
stuff
he
like
could
he's
find it
Jewish.
somewhere. You know, he needs.
Oh, there
okay,
we
there
go.
we go.
Oh,
No.
thank goodness. Oh, good. Write the book. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Every time they say white Jew, you say Jew. White Jew. White? I'm a Jew.
Stop, awful.
Listen, that's what you got to do nowadays. I'm not trying to get down this rabbit hole, but the dude's white. He works in academia. You better come up with
And
a
he
third
feels
position.
uncomfortable about
Third
talking about
position.
sex because he's a white dude.
Well, no,
for
then
a
the
number
space.
of reasons. Exactly. One, because he has like a small daughter, and I guess he's like also thinking like she's gonna read this.
Well,
book,
that's
and
another.
I thought she was going to say something else
There's
too.
one
You know what
thing.
it took us, Caroline?
And
It
then-
only took us 2 consonants in that sentence to think of something
okay,
dirty.
that makes sense. I mean, I have those anxieties too.
And he has those essays about the little girl, the eroticism of the little girl, which I did. There's like a New York
Oh,
conversation
no.
about that. I think
The age
right?
gap
And there's like
convo.
a no,
Is that
there's
what
a
you
theory. There's all this theory about the erotics of the little girl. I don't remember the particular. There's some weird Marxist theory down here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's really interesting.
Well,
It's
I mean,
right next
plays
to the
into
normal
power.
Marxist
Foucault.
theory, the
Yeah.
weird Marxist theory.
Foucault had
Yes, Foucault had a lot of
Power
things
of
to
power.
say,
had
also a
some
lot of
younger-
boys present.
Had some.
You ever think what Foucault said about young men? Do you think he had a young man write it? I mean, there's a lot of assistants around. Wouldn't that be funny? Would it
Are
be
you
funny?
joking? His
Would that be
prose
worse?
is so meandering. He obviously wrote it. It's awful.
yeah, true
it's
enough.
awful to read.
True enough.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
I
true.
do
He is
agree.
awful.
Speaking of art speak.
Yeah.
I mean, he's important. What he did is important, but
Yeah.
it's awful to read.
You know, you could say that whatever art speak is, the academics are the one who did that.
Oh, it's trickled down from us.
Yeah, it's trickle down. It's like a power move. You know, it's like
Well, but because your people are coming up with words that
people.
describe. No,
But we
not
would have
you.
no. We would have no
you're,
content.
You're attacking her specifically. I'm just saying.
I would never
we
do
would
that,
have
and
no
that is not the
content.
point of the
like
show.
to-
Analyze without the artist.
We like to create these subgroups, like you're saying, these cliques, these groups that have certain ways of speaking with each other, and then they go, "Oh yeah, that's totally, I totally agree with you," and no one else would understand it.
He accused me of vocal fry, which I don't do.
Oh, I don't even know what that means, really.
I feel like
think the
I have
problem with
vocal fry.
academia and art,
I'm
I would say my biggest pet peeve about theory and art is that a lot of MFAs don't have any sort of education in the humanities at all. Like they went to went to undergrad for art, like they
Right.
did a BFA
Yeah.
and they took some art history, but their knowledge, like education of social and historical, like social history, is like pretty limited. So then they're coming into grad school and they're being fed like Foucault and Lacan,
Boring the crap out of everybody.
and they don't understand, or they never learned the actual like point in history when that was written, and like
Oh, yeah.
they don't understand like why this theory came about, what
I'm with.
and
you
when
on
they're
social
when
history.
they're like applying it, they're not even thinking about, when they're applying it even to certain paintings or certain sculptures, they're not even thinking about the historical context of those things. And so it's a real pet peeve of mine. And I think there was a space for those things, like especially with like Lacan, Foucault, because they are talking about semiotics and they're talking about ways of seeing things. But at the same time, it's if you're trying to apply those things to, and I've heard very well-known art historians do this, trying to apply these theories to a certain artist and not having an understanding of the historical context of that artist. It's just like square peg, round hole. It doesn't make any sense.
We're doing that all over the place right now in our society and in our scene. We're taking words, verbiage, characters, symbols from the past, wars from the past. We're using them to describe people now. We're using a lot of stuff from the 1960s now to describe things that are happening now. I don't know.
I know we do recycle stuff. That's
yeah, it's recycling. It's also, I think, a lot of people want to go back to a time when they were right, like when they can see like their political or social point of view was correct about something. Like back when I was the hero, something in the 60s where everybody was triumphant. They're not triumphant now, so they would like to project a time period.
I guess that's the
from the
benefit of
past.
being a woman, right? We've never had.
Oh, there's got to be a lot of benefits.
I've never had that opportunity.
I want to let you guys know on that subject. On that subject, just to be a little lighter here. On that
was
subject,
a real, like you just erased our whole history in that one sentence.
you really set women back there on that one.
I know.
I want to let you guys know of all the people I've contacted, because this is a real girl boss episode here.
Is it? I don't
it
like
is.
that word.
Damn it.
Wait, why
I'm
not?
trying to make everybody happy.
I don't
Is it
like
the
girl
girl
boss.
Well, there's a lot of girl bossing going on.
No,
here.
it's not that. It's just like it's like a working capitalist kind of like the only way I can be good at
fulfilled in real
is to be a
That's
hardworking
not what I mean by it.
capitalist.
You know what I mean by it? I mean like this is what I was
To me,
going to
that's
say.
like anti-feminine. In fact, like
Maybe.
yeah.
But there's something a little misogynist in there.
Oh, yeah?
Well, probably. But what I'm trying to say is positive for the love of God. It's I've reached out to a lot of people. A lot of them are too famous to answer me. Some of them have. And the ones who are the bravest are women. And I'm getting that all the way down from Gen Z all the way up to, I have somebody, I don't want to mention them. She's an older artist here in New York and everybody loves her. She might come on our show. Please, for the love of God. And the women, no matter the age group, have been a lot braver in this process. And that's not the way it's supposed to be, right? It's supposed to be, you're supposed to be scared to come down and meet a stranger in a cowboy hat on Canal Street because
I didn't
maybe
know you had a cowboy hat.
Well, now you're regretting it.
Yeah.
And the responses I've gotten, and I'm talking about all the way down to people who don't really have that many Instagram followers and they're a little scared. Why are you messaging me? I'm just a young person in the scene. The girls are coming down and the guys are getting scared. The guys.
How do you know the guys are scared?
Well, because they're putting off my show and they're calling me. Like a lot of the women are saying, "You're a weirdo. Never met you. I'm coming to the studio." And no, they are. It's a lot of bravery going on. And you know what? It's not individual and individual. This is just happening kind of writ large. And a lot of the males, a lot of the dudes, some of them boys, and some young people coming on the show, a lot of them are a lot more scared. And even in that cohort, even in the Gen Z cohort, the boys want meetings and they want to know first. They want Julie's email and all this other stuff. The girls just want to make sure that I'm not an insane hooded vandal.
Yeah.
And as soon as I give them Julie's thing and they just kind of take one look at it, a lot more. I'm not saying
I would not let anything happen to any of the
Oh,
women or
that's
girls
very
that came on the show.
I'm not saying that women are responding good to me because I've had a lot of "Hey, creeper, get out of here."
Oh yeah.
But yeah, of course. But I just see generally a lot more courage going on with the women who I'm messaging. I just wanted to say that here on the Girl Boss episode, no matter
feel
what
like
Kat
we have
says.
to, and it's somewhat.
About girl bossing.
mean, I don't know if I've feel
Girl bossy.
brave or courageous in any way. In
Well, that's
fact,
because
it
you're
feels
already a
little bit
brave
condescending
person.
to say
No,
that
you're already a brave person. You go
But-
places, you talk to strangers, you go to interviews, so you already have maybe, why are you
I think
scared?
no, but I've followed you for a long time on Instagram.
That's true.
And you followed me for a long time,
Yes.
and so I'm not.
How's that experience been? Has it been super weird?
Well, I
Is it-
haven't seen your face, so this is the first time.
I'm sorry to
seeing your
disappoint
face.
you today. With
No,
everybody
I actually was. I am surprised.
We were hoping for two faces. I heard you were the two-faced broad
Did you
dude.
know I thought you were Latino?
Really?
Yeah.
Well, did you know that I am not?
Yeah.
Well, I do have some south of the border heritage. It comes across as Spanish and Portuguese. I don't want to say conquistador, but they were from it.
I don't think I knew this about
Maybe they
you.
were a
Yeah.
conquistador.
The
I didn't know this about
other
you.
side of the Spanish Portuguese comes from across the border.
Mm.
It was actually my grandmother believed that who would be, I think, my grandmother's grandfather. She believed that this person was native from Mexico, and it ends up he only had a trace amount of native, but he was actually Portuguese and Spanish. The Portuguese made him very dark. She's got some photos from wherever the hell, but he looks really dark. And he married a native woman. And I think that my 23andMe test changed
That doesn't,
it changed my history because I think they thought he was native.
The mestizaje there doesn't mean that he's not native.
Oh, here we go.
There's so many generations.
That's not what the Chinese told me in a blood test.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Those
You know what's crazy about the Spanish? I'll tell you something about the Spanish
But that
Portuguese
depends
thing.
on
I don't know why we're talking.
how much information they have, right? 23andMe is only based on how much.
It's probably a
data
lie,
they
but I'm
gathered.
basing my whole
If they
personality
have
on it.
5 people in that area who have who have taken tests,
weird.
and they give the data, that's what tells you what your 23andMe
Yeah, it's
is.
actually really
What?
bad for determining indigenous.
Well,
ancestry.
I've got a pretty big red spot in my color wheel. We can get to it another
No, but I'm just saying.
But
that-
you don't want on the inside of this fucked up mixed baby nonsense over here.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say about the color wheel, which obviously you guys said doesn't matter. I'm going to finish the story anyway. The color wheel they sent me, even though Julie's starting to say, well, the guy's Spanish, the guy's Portuguese, that doesn't mean he's a native, whatever. It's colored in blue and it sat next to my English heritage, even though even though it was actually crossed with my indigenous.
I thought you were
heritage.
Irish.
I have the dear old white folk who've contributed to my heritage were British and Irish, yeah.
But hey, the Irish originally were not white.
Oh, they're
That
gonna
took
love
a couple
this.
generations.
Do they know about the?
I don't know. Do you know? Is that the word on the street? I don't know what people.
I don't know. I'm so disinterested in this stuff a lot of the
okay,
times.
let's change the subject.
No.
That's my
Well,
area
the
of
whole
interest.
goddamn thing's wrapping up, so it doesn't matter. Kat, I want to talk real quick. I see you guys. Are you guys as great of friends as I think you are?
Oh.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
I see that. That comes through. I invited you guys both at the same time because I was like, the other one's just gonna be mad at me.
Do you want to know how we met? Well, no,
Yeah.
we met. She had a show,
Was
at
it way
her
out in
place.
Bushwick or was it out here? Arts Center?
Housewife Gallery. She kind of did a show, but we met through Priscilla before, I think.
Yeah, we've known each other for a long
But
time.
we got really close during the pandemic.
Yeah.
We ended up walking around Prospect Park every morning and screaming at each other. Like we were.
You were angry. You were angry, just
We
like
were
the rest of us.
We were getting into lots of politics.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just like
On the
screaming.
same side.
No.
No. One of the things I think's great about this, and we didn't do it, did we? We didn't do it. So we have this odd couple thing here. I know you guys are, but we didn't do any of that shit.
But
did
we can always.
we don't have to do that crap.
But we always come to like an agreement somehow, even if it's sometimes it's like we agree to disagree.
Yeah.
But still we can find like the truth in something that the other person is saying. We've had times where like I came home and I was like, I'm so sorry. Like,
Well, you know what, Kat? You know why you were doing
you
that?
know?
You were doing that because Caroline's the good guy, and you're not.
I know I'm the best.
You're the best. Why is everybody always so mad at you on the internet?
because
I can
I'm
never
blonde.
figure it out.
Huh?
It's because
You're blonde.
She can only- that's right. Why is everybody so always angry?
because
at
I
me?
mean I'm a bit of a
We're like
troll.
Betty and
Are you
Veronica.
trolling your friends and stuff? You know what?
Yeah,
I
I
think's
mean,
funny.
my closest friends are trolls. She's also a troll in a little way too.
You know what
She like pretends to be the angel.
My closest friends also make people angry.
She's like, oh, this is
Oh, all of
I'm
you.
surrounded
that's
by
good.
trolls.
Oh, that's good. It's Frog Day. What I noticed specifically about the people who are getting angry
I like
at you.
shit posting. I do
You're
that
having fun.
regularly. Not on IG though. I don't do it on Instagram. 'Cause
It's
I don't really
it comes
talk
over
to
there a little, but
Not that I mean the way I do.
you know
like,
what?
on other parts of the
you know what I
internet.
notice about some of the shit you get is comes from your own friend group, like your friends. It's not like a lot of times I don't see like strangers telling you something on the
Oh, no,
internet.
no,
It's
yeah.
usually your own friends. Seems like you're a catalyst down there in the
Oh,
friend
I
group.
mean, I think like when I talk to my friends, like they disagree with me often, and they're like, "Oh, Kat," like
Some people show up in your Instagram, and it seems like you have a very familiar. I'm thinking of something specific, and I don't really want to bring it up.
What
It was
was
something where you said something sex positive. Somebody who obviously seems like they know you was like, "Kat, is this the place to be projecting those opinions?" And you pretty much told the guy to shove off. You're like, "Listen, Brian, I'll see you at the bar later, okay? You don't need to tell me anything on Instagram." And it was that kind of exchange. Right? I thought it was really funny. I get a lot of shit on the internet, but it's from strangers mostly.
I think I know what you're talking about. That's a while ago. That person.
Yeah.
That person. I actually had to.
I remember.
He was like directly messaging me and talking to me about my relationship with my daughter.
Ooh.
And
not cool.
Telling me how I should be making my art and what
Some guy from school.
I don't like. Yeah, I don't need to talk about my relationship.
That's
with
really
my
funny.
daughter.
I get a lot of
you.
shit from people I don't know, but my friends generally are cued in on the either they don't know what I'm doing, right, Julie? A lot of people don't know what I'm doing on the internet at all, like my friends and
How
family.
many accounts do you have?
I don't have any accounts. Don't look for them. But it's usually if you do know me and you do know I'm doing this ridiculous nonsense, most people are like wouldn't be my friend. You know what I mean? It's the strangers who are always showing up. They've just read an article about me from 2017 or something. They show up in my Instagram and start hitting the report button. That's why I know. I always know somebody from the past has found me when everything gets reported all of a sudden. I'm like, what's her name? Where are you from, Wisconsin? What's wrong, sweetheart? I don't know.
One of my things is that I've never been zucked. Like,
you've never been thrown off?
Zucked.
Oh, is that?
I've never been thrown off Facebook, and it's so weird.
There's time.
Everyone around me is always getting thrown off.
Well, it's coming.
No, I'm just a good girl. I'm just a good girl.
No, Caroline's the good girl.
I am a good girl.
I want to wrap this up real quick. I want to thank Caroline for showing at the Spring Break Art Show because here's some bad criticism for you.
Oh.
I just really loved your piece.
Oh, thank you.
I'm not
so
going to
much.
go on about it, but
Can you describe it?
I'm wrapping up this goddamn show, Julie. I don't know if you've.
Oh, I feel like we're just getting into it.
I know, isn't it sad? Can you guys come back? So, do you know that you're in the first bucket of these, and they're going to be shorter? Later on, we're going to have full-length ones. So hopefully you'll come back. We'll see you again. We'll do.
come back.
We'll
I
do
feel
one.
like we just teased this whole.
We'll do one that just doesn't end. At the end of the episode, Kat's like, "Can you guys leave my house?"
Oh,
That's
I
how
brought
that-
some alcohol too to drink because I was like, I'm gonna.
Did you drink any
I need-
alcohol
I
for
need-
this?
I need to get like liquored up.
Nobody brought it.
it.
Nobody else brought any confidence.
She brought in her purse.
You should have got liquored up before this. Oh yeah,
I
you
did
should have got
actually
totally
have
liquored up. No, that's fine.
Actually,
Usually
then
on these
don't-
episodes, whoever's usually on these episodes, if you're in the last cohort, then we go to the bar and you get to film me for blackmail material. I can't hold it in this ridiculous. So next time we'll have a full length episode. You guys will come back. We'll actually have some fun. But for this time,
She doesn't look like she was having fun.
Julie, once again, Julie.
I think you do need a drink.
Dr. Juliana Nalerio, thank you for being here again on this episode. Caroline, Falby, and Kat Chamberlin, thank you very much. Direct from New York City, downtown, Gallery Rats United. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
In the theater, you clap for yourself if it's not bad.
Is it? Okay.
It's over now. It doesn't matter.